Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Cowboys Takeover. I'm your host, Jason Kent. With me, as always, the esteemed Mr. Aaron James. Aaron, how you feeling today? How's the weather out there in Cali today?
Mid 80s. Woke up to a crisp morning, and I think the mid 60s outside.
That's what it's about here right now. So it's not bad. I'm enjoying it. It's not, the weather we had, it's been up and down right now. It's in about 80. So I'd like it 75. Let me just get windows open weather, prior to the heat. So, but yeah, it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day here. Beautiful day there, it sounds. How was your morning commute to work?
Very nice. Some light traffic, but nothing out of the ordinary. And you know what? I just cracked open what I think is the best, the closest version to the original, the diet version here, Diet Dr. Pepper.
Okay, I'm not a diet guy. I don't like any of the diets. I have heard that Diet Dr. Pepper is the one that's the closest to the original, but I don't really think any of them do. Man, yeah, my dude, the morning you can tell school's back is really what I'll say. Is this week got rough? It's like a 40. I had to leave like another 15 minutes early just to get to work on time, or else that traffic would be terrible. But that's not why we're here today. We're not the weathermen. We're not traffic people. We're here just to talk football. We're just two Joes that like talking football, right? And we like talking Cowboys. We're Cowboys fans. And this is the week 2 preview show. And yes, last week was great, but we do have to move on and look forward to the next week. And this week, we do go down to New Orleans and play Derek Carr and the Saints, who last week, who did they play last week? They played Carolina and beat them 47-10. I guess I don't know if you'd expect that bad in a division game, but they came out. Derek Carr looked basically flawless in that game. He looked really good. He kind of what the Saints thought they were getting when they signed the guy. Maybe not that great, but he was 19 of 23 for 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. And then in the backfield, they always have a stud in Alvin Kamara, who's one of the premier kind of, he's dropped off recently, but this week, week 1, 15 carries, 83 yards and a touchdown. That's for a 5.5 clip. So that's really good. And he's definitely known over his career to be a pass catcher. Did have 5 catches last week. Rashid Shaheed had 3 catches, with that big one being a touchdown, the 59-yarder. They have Olave, who showed to be very good last year. Foster Moreau, who seems to be coming up more of the tight end. And then the ever dangerous Taysom Hill. So when you look at this Derek Carr team, what are your when you see them, what do you really think? Because I always liked Derek Carr. I thought he was a very good quarterback. He's somebody I wouldn't mind in a cheaper deal. Like I would have liked him over Dak for the contract. But I always thought he was a very good, his one big year in Oakland, he did get injured. And then he never really had super great pieces around him. But I think he does this year in the Saints, and they have a lot of, you felt like they were just missing a quarterback. So what were your thoughts? Did you catch any week 1? What were your thoughts that you saw from them on their side?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, they had 17 points in the first quarter, put up a 40-plus burger, almost a 50 burger. And it's the Carolina Panthers, right? But they were ultra efficient, 7 of 13 on third downs. Kamara was over 5.5 yards per carry on his 83 yards. You mentioned the 3 touchdowns. They won the turnover ratio, but look, that's against Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. And I was trying to think to myself, okay, what's a better week 1 start? Is it a blowout win at home against a bottom 5 team like the Panthers, or an on the road victory against maybe a top 20, that 20 to 25 marker, maybe where the Browns are going to fall at the end of the season? And I think ultimately you got to go with the road team, road win, road victory, week 1. So I think we're going to come in with a lot of swag, and while the Saints are, looked good overall, they're going to have the confidence like I was kind of getting to. I think that we're going to see we're going to have a better idea of which team showed them their true selves with that week.
No, I agree. I think this is a much better matchup for both the teams. I see this being a little bit of a competitive game. But I do like what New Orleans presents because they are a team. Derek Carr has been around for a long time. He's got great weapons. He's going to know how to use Olave. Rashid, he's really seems like a big play guy. So he's a guy I think you might want to watch out for. It's the Kamara that makes me nervous. Anytime, any running back really makes me nervous for Dallas. But Kamara is very, very agile. He's very good. But I like what they see. Listen, you're right in Carolina being a bottom feeder team. But those are the games that you sometimes have to watch out for. Those divisional games against a bad team in your division. I know it wouldn't shock me if the Giants, upset Dallas because it's a divisional game. So you still worry about them a little bit. So you see the poise and kind of, and they have a very good defense as well. When you look at their defensive side, they still have Matthew, they have LaShawn Lattimore. So they have good DBs. Cameron Jordan's still a very good player. They signed Chase Young. So they have a very stout defense as well. So when you look at it, when you look at it, if you're breaking it down, I know we usually go around 3 keys to victory. We saw what they did last week. Keys to victory this week. What do you think the keys to victory, seeing what they did last week, kind of watching Dallas as well? What do you think the keys to victory are for the Saints?
So my first key to victory for the Saints is that, they want a low scoring game, which means they need to dominate time of possession, and to just kind of get more granular, right? They need to run the ball. That 5.5 yards a carry will do it for them if it's a low scoring game. They do not want to get into a shooting match with the Cowboys. I don't think they don't have enough playmakers overall on both sides of the ball to do that.
Yeah, I was going to, and I said last week, one of the big things for the Saints or for the Cleveland Browns, I don't think they were really able to get that run game started. So I think for the Saints, yeah, they're to me 30. I feel like the run game is going to be huge. And to me, it's really going to be getting Kamara going. I think he's, for the Saints, when you look at it, if he gets going, if he's making plays, it opens up a lot of other things because yes, they can shut him down the run game a little bit, but getting him the ball out, little screens, little dump offs, you always hear them say, an extension of the run game, which it really is. So if you get those and you get the eyes in the backfield, now you open up Olave, you open up Rashid going deep. Those are the things that you worry about. So I think when you look at them getting Kamara going, run game, dump off pass, I think getting him going is my third key to victory for the Saints.
What I got for the Saints is, forcing Dak outside the pocket, getting creative with blitz packages to really test our offensive line. If you just if you're going to let Dak sit in the pocket and kind of pick you apart, that's going to be a problem. And obviously, right, take CD out of the game, force Dak to find someone else. So he lost his comfort blanket in Ferguson, it looks like, for at least this week, even though there's talks about him playing. I don't think he ends up playing. Just
I can't see that.
Making the smart decision and thinking long term here. So take CD out, try to get Dak on the run, flush him out. I believe one of the slot DBs had 2 sacks or 3 sacks in the last game. Chase Young against Guyton. Now, Chase Young is not a Myles Garrett, but
no,
he's probably good for a sack or 2 this game, especially if Guyton is not going to get any help. And then ultimately, right, kind of still back to my first point, force field goals. That red zone defense keep Cowboys out of the end zone, basically.
Yeah. I agree. Listen, I think all of that. When you look at both sides, for Dallas, I do think forcing Carr to be uncomfortable. He's definitely a quarterback over his career that's been prone to make mistakes. Yes, Cleveland was missing 2 tackles. They had 6 sacks. They did what they're supposed to do in a situation like that. But you'd like to really see Micah and those boys get at it again. You'd like to see another 5-sack performance from that defensive line, linebackers. I'd like to see, Overshawn. I want to see him kind of move it. So I think keeping Carr healthy, keeping him upright is going to be huge. And really it's making him uncomfortable because last week he was very comfortable. When you're 19 of 23, you're not really facing pressure at all. He got sacked 1 time and lost a yard. So it's not something where, Carolina was not able to make him uncomfortable. And that's, you see it in, I don't know, the percentage is pretty damn good. 19 to 23, that's got to be close to 90% completion. So you gotta keep him all healthy and upright. If he's doing that, he's doing the dump offs to them. He's making the plays. He can make the big play. I think that's in combination with, with Kamara is, getting him going. Now you're keeping Carr healthy. And I think the other side is that defense. Dak can't play as bad as he did last game. I do believe if New Orleans defense makes Dak play as bad as he did last week, I think New Orleans has a good shot because Dak was not that impressive. Their run game was not that impressive. So I think for, New Orleans, the first key to victory, I know the offense is big, but that defense has to step up and play kind of like Carolina or like Cleveland had them playing in the first, really portion of that game where uncomfortable, not making plays. If the Saints can do that, I think they're a better team than Cleveland. They're going to put up more than 3 points on Dallas's mistakes. So that's I think on Cleveland's side. Yeah, you want to kind of watch that game and see what Cleveland did against Dallas if you're New Orleans, kind of see what they did to discomfort Dak. I'd like to see how they take away CD. You're going to have Marshawn follow him, Lattimore follow him the whole game. You'd like to see that matchup. So I think, shutting them down, making Dak kind of uncomfortable as well, playing like he did last week, not really looking great, kind of making him make his reads, be uncomfortable, miss a couple of passes. That's number one. That's their key. That's their success. And I know that's everybody's success, but I really believe when you look at that, Cleveland kind of put it out there. Dak made me a little nervous last week. That's why I'm not a big Dak guy. So that's, for on the keys to victory for the Saints, that's what you really got to do. And I think Kamara, over under for Alvin Kamara, total yards, 126 yards, over under.
Oh, under.
You're going to go under? Okay. I think that's about, you got to keep him, I think, about around that frame. Because that's about 80 rushing, 40 receiving. Because if he has a big day, I think he's going to be the guy that'll really hurt us. So I think you want to keep him. I agree. You want to keep him under that kind of. I'd like to keep him under 100 total yards. That's really what I'd want to do. And now when you're looking at it from the Dallas side, what if you're looking at what are your keys to victory for Dallas? What do they need to do? What do they need to fix up from last week to really come up big in this week 2 matchup against the Saints?
So I think my first 2 points kind of come hand in hand. So the penalties on both sides of the ball, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot very early on in the game with false starts or holding calls, and those are drive killers, and it impacted our third down, our third and longs, basically, a lot of third and longs. So we have to be more effective there because, to your point, if we punt the ball 6 times, I think that plays into the Saints' hands. I think the more reps you give Derek Carr, the better chance he has of getting in the groove. And And I know you've been the Derek Carr fan. You've even said you wouldn't mind him being here if Dak didn't get the extension. And you know what? For me, Derek Carr, it's kind of like what's his name? The beard guy that used to play on Fitzmagic, right? I think any given Sunday, Carr can put up over 400 passing yards. Like it can happen.
I agree. Yes, he's one of those guys can do it.
Yeah, it's not. Well, it might not be likely. He can definitely pull it off. with some big plays. So penalties on the offensive side, and on the defensive side, you cannot allow them to keep drives alive, especially on third down. I don't believe we had any roughing the passer calls last week with as much pressures as we had. That's some pretty good stuff right there.
I agree. And yeah, to me, that key to victory, I think number one is your third down. Again, like last week, that's where, outside of the end of the game where Cleveland got some drives, that's where Dallas, that defense really showed up. Because it felt like there wasn't a lot of third and shorts for Cleveland either. They're staying really ahead of the chains. That defense played very well. So I think that's, stopping them on the early downs, making Carr pass. That's where, to me, if you're getting third and 1, 3rd and 2, now that team's a little more unpredictable because you have Kamara who's dangerous and can run it. So I think the third down efficiency and really being ahead of the chains, really getting that 3rd and 5 more often than not. You don't want Carr to get effective. If you're Dallas, and I want to see a big game again from Kendricks. I really want to see him step up. I want to see him put it back-to-back weeks. I think he showed me a lot. He showed me what he really could do. He's flying around that field. Him and Overshawn really look like a great duo. So it's really, that defense really stepping up on third downs, making the big plays. And to me, the biggest thing, I need to see more of Dak and CD. I think you're going to need them on the same page this week. I think CD's got to have a big game. It really does, because you can't look like they did last week offensively and beat this team, because you can't really expect that, the turnovers. You can't expect punt returns for touchdowns. Those are things you can't really go into the game counting on. And with the way Dak played, not really efficient. Zeke was averaging 4 yards a carry, only got 10 carries. So I'm worried about that. I need to see Dak and CD really on the same page. They need to be cooking for us to win.
Yes, I agree. They really do. And, that reminds me, sometimes I feel like McCarthy hasn't really done a great job at finding ways, as big as of a year CD had last year, like finding ways to get CD the ball, like on route running. And because I feel like he's in that in the backfield, you're right, for the jet sweeps and whatnot. I feel like that's kind of tacky, and using CD for something like that. Turpin, I think, is a little bit better versatile to be doing that. Plus you lay him up for potentially a bigger hits, I think, coming out of the backfield. But I agree, and that's what I had as well. CD has to have a really big game, and look, we just have to get past midfield. We like to talk about kickers on this show.
Yeah, you might just gotta get to midfield. If you get to midfield, you're in field goal range. That 50-yard line, we saw 66. He hit with this distance. So let's get. All we got to do is get about 20 yards. We're in field goal range almost every drive.
You get past midfield 10 times. That's a minimum of 30 points. Minimum.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, I'm with you. Aubrey's my kicker, so let's, if he hits a couple of 60 yards this week, I'm super stoked with it. But again, and I do want to see more out of the running game. I said earlier, and I think Dak's going to throw a lot, and we really saw week 1. He threw a lot. 32 times. I felt like with the way the game was playing out, wasn't needed. Like, I don't need Dak out there throwing and that's my issue. Is I don't, especially last week when you saw he wasn't looking good. They were up 20-3 at half, and he's still out there. He's chucking it. I want to see more out of Zeke as well. I think you got to establish somebody as your lead running back, and I don't know if he's there yet. I'm wondering. I'm still waiting to see when Cook makes his debut, because Zeke didn't show me enough, and Rico definitely didn't show me, with his carries. He didn't show me anything to be that second back. And I know you had mentioned, you do like him moving forward. He was a guy you thought would take over the reins, but Zeke did look good. I like the flashes, the jump on the first play, getting in the red zone, him scoring that touchdown. But I do want to see one of those guys And I want to see somebody establish themselves as the guy this week. Somebody's got to make big plays. And at that point, you just roll with the hot hand. But yeah, I think they could do it. Dallas, Dak, like we said, Dak and CD need to step up. So when you go for it, when you're looking at it, talking about all the keys to victory, looking at all these teams, everything from the last week, both teams, if you're saying you have to pick the game, your prediction time. What is your prediction? What's your final score?
Yeah. So ultimately, I think, we have a bad taste in our mouth from our last home game. But I think that was an anomaly. We're going to get back into the swing of things. We're going to put up a 40 burger in our first home game. And things are going to unravel like mid third quarter and beyond. I have Cowboys winning 43-23.
Man, you got them putting up some points. Listen, after last year's regular season, they did put up points in the postseason. Let's be honest, they weren't. Nobody cares about it. Last year, regular season, they cooked. So I can't sit here and argue against it. I kind of agree with you. I think it's a close game for about the first quarter and a half, 2 quarters. But I do think come second half, the Dallas that we saw last year shows up at home. I do think Dak is going to have a big game. I'm going to say Dak definitely has a 300-yard game. CD's going to have I'm going to go around 12 catches, 145 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Because I think those guys, they're out to prove something. They both just got paid. So that, they both of them have something to prove. So at home, they're going to put up some fireworks. And I think that defense shows up. I'm excited to see Kendricks and Overshawn run around. I think I'm not going to go as high as you. I'm going to go 37-24. In that second half, Dallas kind of pulls away and gets, finishes it out.
All right.
Listen, we got it. So did you run the simulation this week, sir?
Yes, I did. Yes.
I knew you would.
So we have Madden coming in this week. Madden is 1-0, as are we. Madden has Cowboys winning 42-24.
Man, Madden. Okay.
Yes. So I want to get some over and unders here from you based on some of these Madden statistics. Let me know where you're at. So Cowboys rushing yards 106.
I'm going to say under.
Okay. Cowboys third down conversion 50%.
Ooh, I'm going to say over. No, over.
Over, okay. And I'll give you 2 more. First downs. We had 15 last week, as did the Browns. We got 20 in the Madden simulation.
I'm going to go under on that. That's
Ouch.
A lot of first downs.
Ouch. All right. And then I want to give you the flip side. Saints, they have them at 15. Over or under?
I'm going to go under slightly.
Okay. So
what do they have? What do they have as the passing yards? Interesting.
Passing yards for Cowboys 326 and 281.
I'm going to go over on 326. I'm picking
Okay.
over on Dak. I believe in Dak this week. Don't if you're a regular of the show, this is going to be long lived. I'll believe in Dak this week. That's it. But I really do think he comes out. I think he really wants to show. After laying that egg last week, I'm sure both him and CD are very upset and want to show they've earned their contracts, and they have earned it. But that's why I do believe they're going to come out in a big week. So there you have it. Listen, Madden has him at 2-0. Mr. Aaron, we both had him around 13, 14 wins. So we know some wins are piling up here. We both have him winning this week. We both see it kind of, they're going to give up some points, but they're going to score some points as well, because this is what this offense does. This is how they're built. They're going to go in. They're going to outscore the teams they should, and hopefully they can outscore teams that are better than them as well. But we have them 2-0. We appreciate everyone for checking us out this week. Thank each and every one of you that have checking in with this week. Let everyone know this is brought to you by the Ring the Bell Network. Thank you again, Chris, for having us. We are still live on the Cowboys Takeover podcast on YouTube. And I do believe Aaron we're throwing it up on the Facebooks. I know our personal Facebooks. We're getting it all out there. So we really appreciate each and every one of you. We are coming back this week. I know we've been out. Aaron did remind me last week. I will this episode, and going forward, we'll be back up on Spotify, both pregame and postgame. We'll be getting that back up on Spotify. So we want to thank any way you're listening to us. We really appreciate it. We really thank each and every one of you checking us out. We truly, from the bottom of our hearts, just do this because we enjoy talking about the Cowboys. We talk about the Cowboys outside of even doing this. So we thank each and every one of you for checking us out. 1:00 Sunday. Wait a second, Aaron. They're in Dallas. Yeah, They are. I did miss that. I think I opened the show saying New Orleans, but they're in Dallas. Let's go. We're getting a win. We're going to open up this season 2-0, baby. Dak has got to redeem himself. He's got to earn that contract. As much as I don't want to believe him, he's got to go out there and earn it this year. He's got to do the same thing as last year. Anything less is unacceptable. This week starts it. I know he missed CD all preseason. He's got him back. Let's go. Let's get it 2-0, baby. Let's go out and take New Orleans out. Keep the season rolling. Go Cowboys. Love y'all. We'll be back. You good for Sunday evening, or are we going Monday? We'll talk about it.
We're doing Sunday.
Sunday evening after the game, we will be here live to discuss post-game instant reaction with what went down, what went wrong, hopefully discussing the Dallas Cowboys victory. Everyone, enjoy your evening. Have a great night. Let's go Cowboys.